Good morning, guys, and welcome to our Friday's class lesson on Data 2, topic 27, and we're on page 170 today. So again, we'll be continuing with bar charts. Before that, I'd like to revisit your work from yesterday, and this was all about adding mixed numbers. So we have our addition, and we have subtraction. So I think, guys, from looking at the addition, they were quite okay to do. It's just I really want to focus in on our subtraction. That one was also quite easy to do because you didn't have to take away any whole numbers and bring them over. So again, I have these pages uploaded anyway below as JPEGs, but I'm more interested in this one here, for example. 6 and 2/9 take away 3 and 2/3. I told you we have to take care of our whole numbers first, so 6 take away 3 leaves 3. And then 2/9 take away, and I did that straight away. I use our common denominator 9 because 3 will also go into 9. And in order to make, how do we make a 3 into 9? We multiply by 3, but what we do to the bottom, we do to the top. What we do to the top, we do to the bottom. What we do to the numerator, we do to the denominator. What we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. And so we end up with 6/9. Okay, guys? So that's 3 and 2/9 take away 6/9. Now, we cannot take 6/9 from 2/9 because it's too big. 2/9 is too small. So we go to our 3, our whole number 3. We're just regrouping, guys, in a way. We still have the same number, it's just we're using it in a different way in order to do the sum. So we take away our 1 from the 3, we're left with 2, and then we use that 1, and what do we convert it to? We have to convert it to ninths because we're dealing in ninths. So we add the 9/9 because 9/9 is 1, 10/10 is 1, 12/12 is 1. 1 million over 1 million is 1 unit. So we add the 9/9 onto the 2/9, and that's 11/9. And that we take away 6/9. So we have 2 and 11/9 take away 6 and 6/9, and that's 2 and 5/9. Let's look at that closely, and it is very clearly shown. Then if we go over to 3b, we have 2 and 2/8 take away 1 and 3/4. Now, actually, guys, that was a silly one for me to do because 2 and 2/8 is actually a quarter. But you'll still end up having to go and get one whole number from the 2. So 1 whole unit. So it really doesn't matter at that stage. But it just, I suppose, if I just thought the 2/8 there is 1/4, so it'd be 1/4 minus the 3/4. So we'll just continue on anyway as is. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2/8 minus 3/8, which is we cannot do because if we're going to convert it to a quarter, it's a quarter minus 3/4. But if we're going to leave it as 8s, it's 2/8 minus 6/8. And 2/8 minus 6/8 is impossible. So we go to our 1 and we knock it off, and we take the unit and we convert it into 8s, and we add the 8/8, which is equal to 1 unit, 1 whole number, and we add the 8/8 onto the 2/8, and that becomes 10/8, and then 10/8 minus 6/8, and we're left with 4/8, and 4/8, when expressed in its simplest form, is a half. So if you look at that closely, guys, I'm sure you remember now how to do them. It's just, as I said about maths, it's all about practice. It's just about refreshing the old memory. It's like pressing a button and saying, oh yeah, and you get it, you can retrieve it. And the same here for 5 and a 10th minus 4 and 3/5, and our common denominator is 10, so it's 1 and 1/10 take away. And in order to convert the 5ths to 10s, multiply by 2 in the bottom, multiply by what we do to the bottom, we do to the top, etc., etc. And we have 6 over 10, and then we have our 1/10 take away 6/10 is impossible, so we go to the 1, we knock off the 1, and we take, and we're left with 0, and we use the 1 unit. We use that 1 unit, that whole 1 unit, convert it into 10/10, so we add the 10/10 to 1/10, and we end up with 11/10. Sorry, and the 11/10. And 11/10 take away 6/10. You're left with 5/10. And 5/10, 5 divided by 5 on top. What we do to the top, we do to the bottom. We do to the bottom, we do to the top, and we're left with a half, and that's the answer. Okay, guys. But as I said, I have those uploaded for you down below as well to have a closer check. Now, let's look at A. Look at the pie chart and answer the questions. If the pie chart shows that one person likes maths, now one person likes maths, and that's green, so 36 degrees is equal to one person. Yes, it must have been me. How many people were surveyed altogether? That's terrible. Anyway, and you're saying to me, no, Miss Walker, it is true. It's just the one person liked maths. And then what fraction of the group prefers science? Now, if you have to get the total number of people in order to get the fraction of the group, because remember I said to you to express how many people like science, you have to put that over the total number of people. But we know that 36 degrees is equal to one person. So, think about that. Well, I suppose I'm just looking now and I just realise when I actually thought about it, there's not that many people to start with, but still one is very low. And what fraction of the group, how many people prefer English? How many more people prefer art to other subjects? What percentage of people prefer maths? And how many degrees in each of the following sectors, art and English? Now, I'm not going to go through these individually, guys. It will be, as I said, the answers will be provided for you. But I just really need you to look at the figures you have, like the 108 degrees. What does that represent to many people? But you will definitely get all your information from the very first piece of information, that one person likes maths. And if you go to the pie chart, it shows you that 36 degrees of your total 360 degrees prefer maths. And that is a huge, huge, huge clue. Now we go to B. This table shows how Helen spent her time from midnight on Friday to midnight on Saturday. Midnight Friday to midnight Saturday is 24 hours. So it's a 24-hour period. So her event, all the events are written on top, from sleeping all the way through to shopping, my favourite hobby. And duration, the 10 hours all the way through to the 2 hours. So, God, she did a lot of sleeping. Anyway, show this information on the blank pie chart. So your pie chart is definitely divided into 24 equal parts, because each one of those represents an hour. And basically, guys, I've given you a big hint there. There's 24 of those out of a possible 24 of those segments. And remember, your total number of degrees is 360 degrees. So that's a vital piece of information in order to work the problems out. So it says here, A, how many degrees represent 1 hour? That is so important. If you can work that out, that really will help you with the rest of the questions. How many degrees represent each of the following? Sleeping, doing chores, shopping. How many hours are represented by each of the following? 45 degrees, 120 degrees, 270 degrees, 360 degrees. Well, that's easy. 360 degrees. How many hours are represented by 360 degrees? I'm just going to tell you 360 degrees has to be the total of 24 hours, because that's the total. It's like the 100% is 360 degrees is equal to 24 hours. Just bear that in mind, guys. What fraction of the day is spent sleeping? What fraction of the day is spent walking? What decimal fraction is spent sleeping and eating? Now, in this instance, you have to convert your fraction into a decimal fraction. Okay? And so it's going to, instead of a half, it's 0.5. Instead of a quarter, it's 0.25. Instead of a third, it would be 0.33. Recurring 333. Instead of a fifth, it would be 0.2, and so forth. Instead of 4/10, it would be 0.4. And what percentage is spent doing chores and watching TV? So you have to percentage again, guys. You have to do the percentage. So you probably have a fraction, and you work that out as a percentage then. And look at C. Turn this table into a pie chart. Make at least 5 observations on the data. So you have to turn it into a pie chart, which means you need your compass and your protractor. So rubbish. Rubbish found on British Bay Beach. So you'll have to have your colour-coded key at the side. So your cigarettes would be one particular colour. Your styrofoam will be another. Plastic, paper, wood, metal, glass, cloth, rubber. They'll all be represented by different colours. So the quantity is for cigarettes was 40, and then you have to find your total and work it out then in accordance to the degrees, remembering that your total quantity of rubbish will be equal to 360 degrees, guys. Now, challenge yourself. There are 115 million children in the world who, according to UNICEF, do not go to school. And that is absolutely tragic. Make a list of make at least 5 comments on the information shown in the pie chart. Okay, guys. So, Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East, and North Africa, Eastern and Southern Africa, West and Central Africa, Southern Asia, East Asia and the Pacific, Latin America and the Caribbean, and industrialized countries. Okay, so they're all represented there. There's your color coded key. Sorry, there, and you have your information on the pie chart, and it's percentages, guys. Okay, right. So you have to comment. You have to comment, guys, on this. That looks quite blurred. Anyway, so there you go. And again, all the answers will be uploaded tomorrow. So, sorry, wait, come on. Yes. I thought you were getting away with it. No. Chapters 8 and 9, and here we have use a ruler. And remember, guys, I'm just going to say something about 4. 8 multiplied by 2 over 13. That's 8 multiplied by 2 over 13. Remember, you make sure you put that 8 over 1, because if you don't, you will end up multiplying the wrong numbers. So when you're multiplying by a whole number, always put it over 1. If it's 2, put that 2 over 1. If it's 3, put that 3 over 1, and then multiply out. Draw the following angles: acute, obtuse, straight, right, and remember our reflex angles. And please measure. Now, I haven't put in anything there, but I want you to measure an angle of 30 degrees. And then I want you to measure an angle of 45 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 270 degrees. So please, I want you, using your protractor, I want you to measure an angle of 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 270 degrees, 60 degrees, and 110 degrees, and and 290 degrees. Okay, guys? And then you have to draw the following angles using a protractor: 140, 280. And what type of angles are the above? 140, what type of angle is it? 200, what type of angle is it? And 80 degrees, what type of angle is it? So we'll have those all uploaded for you again, guys, tomorrow. And that's it. So we'll talk to you again tomorrow, guys, and we'll have all the answers for you. Bye.